Good morning, good afternoon to all of you in person and online. Thank you very much for taking the time among your busy schedule to be with us here today. We know that it's clashing with some important negotiation sessions, so we really appreciate that you take the time and come to this event. So basically, this is the event of the inception of the CBIT Global Support Program. So we started some time ago, but we never had a chance to have a proper inception inception workshop. So now it's a good opportunity, but also and more importantly, the occasion to have the launch of the climate transparency platform. So welcome, colleagues. I would like first to thank our host, the German Institute for Sustainable Development, for graciously hosting us in this beautiful venue. So thank you very much. And with that, I would like to hand the floor to Stefan Bauer for some opening words.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates. Yeah, it's my great pleasure to welcome you here at our premises, the German Institute of Development and Sustainability, or IDOS. Some of you may have been here before, may have been wondering, and in fact, we have been undergoing a renaming and rebranding. Just last year, we have been known for almost 60 years as the German Development Institute, but now to reflect the growing focus on sustainability and also the internationalization of our institute, we have renamed ourselves German Institute of Development and Sustainability. At the beginning of this week, we have celebrated, of course, the 50th anniversary of World Environment Day, and now the week draws to a close. It is my great pleasure and privilege to be hosting you and to warmly welcome you, especially the hosts of today's event, the United Nations Environment Program, specifically the UNEP Copenhagen Climate Center, and also the Capacity Building Initiative for Transparency Global Support Program of the Global Environment Facility. It's really a privilege for us to have you all here and to mark the inception and the launch of the Climate Transparency Platform here at our institute, which, as you will have noticed, happens to be just around the corner of the Bonn UN campus and the Climate Secretariat. I'm Stefan Bauer, and in our institute, co-leading our Klimaloop project, which is a project that is doing research, outreach, and policy advice with regard to international climate governance, and it's graciously funded by our German Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development. In the project and in that context, we're closely following multilateral climate process for many years now. The project has been established at the run-up to the Paris Climate Conference in 2015. So we have been closely following ever since, and because of that, we are keenly aware that trust is the most precious resource, not only in the international negotiations around many of the contentious issues of global climate governance, but also with regard to facilitating the kind of international cooperation that is essential to advance the implementation of the Paris Agreement on the ground. And therefore, it's also essential to sustain whatever slim chances we have remaining with regard to achieve the objectives of the Paris Agreement. And when it comes to trust, providing for transparency is key. In turn, it's a crucial means to build and sustain trust, even as negotiating transparency can in itself be very political. All of you who have been following the negotiations around the enhanced transparency framework will be able to testify to that. So the Global Support Program and its Capacity Building Initiative program are obviously a very important endeavor and also very timely, as more trust and transparency are directly needed to keep pushing forward for ambitious and just international climate cooperation. And in that spirit, IDOS and the Klimalook project are wishing you a most productive and fruitful workshop today here at our premises and an expedient rollout of the climate transparency platform as it seeks to support country engagement with the enhanced transparency framework and to thereby enable the ETF to play its part in facilitating trust building in international climate governance cooperation. We most definitely need more of that. So thank you very much and good luck and good success with the platform.
Stefan, for this welcoming words. I do sympathize with the branding issues because we have been suffering from it both as UNEP Copenhagen Climate Center and as the project. So hopefully it gets into the minds quite quickly. So thank you very much for this welcoming words, and we look forward to further collaborations with you. With that, I would like to invite Patricia Marcos Widopko from the chat to give us also some welcome remarks.
Thank you, Fatima. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. It is an honor and a pleasure for us to be here today at the Inception workshop and the launch of the climate transparency platform developed by the CBIT meeting here, but developed by the Capacity Building Initiative for Transparency Global Support Program CBIT-GSP, which is supported by the Global Environment Facility. This moment marks a really important milestone in our collective effort to ensure transparency and also promote climate action worldwide. The CBIT-GSP represents a merging and a continuation of two existing platforms. You may be familiar with those two. This is the CBIT Global Coordination Platform and the Global Support Program. So those are two existing platforms which have been merged to the CBIT-GSP. With has the timeline until 2026, offering streamlined support to various modalities at the global, regional, but also national level. And that's really important because through all the networks that they will be presenting later on, they're providing a really tailored support to countries. Like that's the most one of the most value added of the global platform. So today we are thrilled to unveil the Climate Transparency Platform, another an acronym to add to our list, which is an expansion of the CBIT Global Coordination Platform and the Global Support Program websites. This platform serves as a comprehensive hub and also as a one-stop shop for countries and offers the latest events, knowledge products, and overview of transparency projects and support providers, and dedicated network pages for self-help exchanges and knowledge sharing and peer learning. So to ensure integration over the last week, together with our colleagues from the CBIT-GSP, we have already developed some training webinars to help users familiarize themselves with the functionalities of the platform. And I won't get into the details because we have more time for that. But I just wanted to say that none of this would have been possible. The strong collaboration between the CBIT-GSP team, led by Fatima, the Year Secretariat, and our esteemed partners. So I also wanted to extend my gratitude to all the GIS implementing agencies, to ICAD, to PAPA, FAO, the UNFCCC Secretariat as well, and many others that I'm probably leaving behind. But thank you everyone for helping us putting together this platform, which we hope it will be really useful for countries as they implement their. This new chapter let us reaffirm our commitment to transparency, collaboration, and knowledge sharing. hope you find the platform useful, and I wanted to just wish everyone a really successful launch event. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Patricia, and thank you for all your collaboration and your guidance for the inception of the project and also the platform. And thank you also for recognizing all the partners without whom this wouldn't have been possible. So thank you very much for that. And now, last but not least, I would like to give the floor to our director, John Christensen, director of the UNEP Copenhagen Climate Center.
Thank you. Thanks, Fatima, for doing a good job in this. But yeah, thanks for hosting us. I've been here before, and it's a really nice place, and it's very convenient. But I think it's also quite nice to get out of the big building just for a short while and get out and see the sun. It's also warm here, but it's still nice. I think it's most welcome. And thanks to you, Patricia, and the judge for trusting us with implementing or executing the project on the CBIT-GSP. I mean, Fatima and Susan are the one doing the work. What is special for me is I was starting the discussions with your colleagues almost a few months after Paris, because there was a mandate for CBIT. So my experience, I've been working on national communication support for 2 decades. And the experience is always if you start the support program too late, you don't really get the right design to fit in and support the national projects. So we had that some very early on, and we had launched already in Marrakesh for the first version, which I think both for JS and for UNIT is record speed. And then it's really impressive to see how it's developed, came together with the global support program, come into a joint format, and really, I think, at a really good time in terms of supporting the countries in doing the BTRs for next year. So it's one of the best timings of support programs I've seen in that whole period. So I think it's going to be really helpful for countries also because there's some support coming after the report. So it's very interesting. I mean, I think transparency is really key to the Paris Agreement because it's really about the credibility. If you can't document the results of what you say you have clearly to sort of do in your indices, I mean, there's no credibility in the system. And that is trust building. It's also enhancing ambitions going forward. If you can document what you've done, learn from it, and put it into the new indices coming in 2025. So it is a great pleasure. And I saw a little bit of the thing in the side event yesterday, and I think some of you were also getting details about what the program will do beyond the platform. And there's really big work to the last minute. I haven't seen the platform yet. I'm curious to see it when it comes up. And I would say night and day maybe, but close. And I think you will be happy with it. Should be looking good. And I think it has set up. I was involved in all these region network meetings. I've seen many of you on screen, but not much more than that. It's really nice to meet up and sort of have a real presence and be able to discuss this, take it forward. Also started ICAT already in Paris. We had a meeting just before Paris to discuss. We didn't dare to come on transparency at that time because the term was kind of politicized. So we changed overnight. In Paris, we changed the name to ICAT and launched it in Paris where we didn't really know what it was. But I think it's also working nice together, and nice to see you here today also in the society later on ICAT also, and also at the UNIP CCC while involved in ICAT, country support and so on. So it all comes together, at least in my mind, and also in practice. So I hope we're going to have a really good event. Look forward to it, and also to see the platform. And welcome all of you, and hopefully have a good meeting again. Thanks.
Sorry to interrupt you, Fatima. Your mic is mute. We can't hear you, the online participant.
Technical issue. So then let us start with giving you a little bit more information about the project. So the CBIT Global Support Program, Capacity Building Initiative for Transparency Global Support Program. So hopefully after today, everyone will remember the name. Apologies, we have a technical issue, so just resolve it and we'll be back. We must be such an else. Yeah, so yeah, a capacity building initiative for transparency global support program. So it's the opportunity to say it many times. So yeah. So basically, this is a project, as mentioned before, that's funded by JEF, implemented by UNEP, and executed by the UNEP Copenhagen Climate Center. It's basically the merging and continuation of the two previous projects, the CBIT Global Coordination Platform and the Global Support Program. So both projects have been merged to constitute this new program. So basically, the main objectives of the program is to help developing countries in the transition towards the enhanced transparency framework. As we know, now it's crunch time with regards to the transition towards the BTR. They are due in less than like a year and a half latest. And there is quite a lot to do to be able to have the BTRs from developing countries in that time frame. Noting also that almost half of the countries have not yet applied to get BTR support. So it's really quite important now that everyone gets into it and starts the transition towards the BTR. So we are hoping to be one of the actors that help countries in this transition efforts. The second elements of the project, or the second objective of the project, is to provide the global community with a one-stop shop for transparency. So that's the climate transparency platform that we will be also launching today. And then the third objective is to help countries mainstream gender considerations in their transparency reports. So, yeah. So basically, the first thing, the transparency platform is basically what will be launched today. So I will not get into it. We will have a dedicated presentation to that. Then I will concentrate mainly on the other support modalities of the CBIT Global Support Program. So basically, as I have mentioned, one of the objectives is to support mainstreaming gender in transparency. Under the previous Global Support Program, a toolkit has been developed, a gender toolkit has been developed. And now we are aiming at updating this gender toolkit to take into account the requirements of, or to make it fit with the enhanced transparency framework and the new requirements for the BTR. So based on this gender toolkit, we will be providing training to all countries globally. So we will be organizing 3 regional workshops for all the regions. And then we will be providing technical assistance to countries who wish to implement or to mainstream gender in their transparency reports. So this would be on a need basis, and a request should come from the countries so that we can provide this kind of support after the implementation of the toolkits. The second, one of the second modalities of support is the knowledge products. So basically the development of knowledge products. So we have a mandate to develop quite a few knowledge products. I think from the top of my head, like 6 knowledge products. So we have started already developing some, and we are in the process also of coordinating with various support providers because everyone has the same ideas, and therefore it does not make sense to duplicate, and looking for synergies would be the best way forward to serve all countries in the best possible way. Then we have also the quality review of transparency reports, which is quite an important element of the support that we are providing. And the objective from that is to enhance the quality of submissions to UNFCCC. So we have most countries actually are asking now for this kind of support, so that when they submit the reports to UNFCCC, they don't get as many observations and comments as if these reviews have not been done. So I will go a little bit more into details into that later in my presentation. Then the other element is basically the global workshops. So we will be having at least 2 global workshops, and we will be making some announcements in the next few weeks on the location and the topics of the next global workshop. Then we have the transparency network. So this is one of the main medium of support of the CBIT Global Support Program. So we have 10 transparency networks, and that are coordinated by, we have coordinators for most of these networks, and we have 2 networks that we are working on and coordinating very closely with our colleagues from UNDP, the Lusophone and the Francophone networks. So the other networks are the Spanish-speaking Latin America, the Anglophone Caribbean, the Lusophone, I said the Lusophone already, Middle East and North Africa, so the MENA network, the Anglophone Africa network, Eurasia network, Central Asia and the Caucasus, Asia network, and the Pacific. So it's 10 covering basically all developing countries. So our approach to this to work and to force providing in these transparency networks is basically we started by asking for nominations of focal points for the projects, but also in the various thematic areas in order to be able to constitute communities of practice in the various thematic areas of transparency that can be actually operationalized also through the forums that are available in the transparency platform. And then after this stage, we have carried quite a comprehensive capacity need assessment in all the networks that are operationalized. So we are still missing 2 networks that hopefully we will operationalize very soon. And then after that, based on the results of the survey, we have developed network work plans based on the priorities and the needs identified. And then we have launched 8 networks, as I mentioned, 2 in collaboration with UNDP. And then we have started already in providing support and trainings in the various networks. So here I would like to give you a bit of an idea on the capacity need assessment outcomes that have been carried. So basically, we have done quite, as I mentioned, a comprehensive survey. So we had 10 different sections on cross-cutting elements, and then dedicated sections to the various thematic areas of the ETF, and also dedicated section to gender. We had a very good rate of response, so 87%, which we think it's really good and would be very representative of the capacities of the various networks. And the main results, as you can see here in the screen, is the overall status of transparency system in most countries is fair. So there are very few that have said it's good. There are a bit of difference in the various networks, but in general, it's in the fair category. We have very a few that have an advanced. I think 1 country that has an advanced system. Then for the institutional arrangements, the same results. Most countries are in the fair category. And the level of familiarity with the ETF is that in most networks, basically, people are not really familiar with the ETF and the BTR provisions. So we do have our work cut off for us. We need to provide a lot of support so that countries get familiarized more with the ETF and start developing transparency systems that are conducive of developing transparency reports. So here, with regards to the thematic areas of transparency of the ETF, so we noticed that basically for the technical capacities on the GHG inventories, most countries are in the good and fair category. And I think this can be explained by the fact that most countries have now quite a significant experience with the inventories. So it's not something very new element. However, when we see the new areas, basically like NDC tracking, adaptation and impacts, loss and damage, support need and receive, it's systematically in the fair and poor category for the majority of the countries in the network. So for more information, please don't hesitate to go to the platform later. We have published there the capacity need assessment report, and we have made flyers also for easy that are easy to read and more graphic. So as I mentioned, based on this assessment of capacities, we have identified the main areas of support for countries, and we have done an exercise of prioritization with them. So all the support that we will be providing is basically bottom up. So it's the needs that are coming directly from the countries. So the main areas that we will be providing support on and that have been prioritized is GHG inventory. So even though it's better than the other areas, but the needs are still significant there, and many countries have prioritized capacity building for GHG inventories and the trainings on the IPCC guidelines and software and so on. The other elements that was also prioritized is GHG emission projections. So here we have noticed that a lot of countries are asking for trainings on modeling tools. So different countries use different modeling tools, but this is a need that is kind of coming also across the board. Then another important area is, of course, the NDC tracking. So identification of indicators, the use of the common tabular format, and so on. So this is something that most countries are also asking for. Then the adaptation, impact, and vulnerability also is an important element that have been raised. Loss and damage, of course, while we are still at the start when it comes to transparency for these elements, but it is a need that have been identified by most countries as well. And then support needed and received, and of course, without forgetting the institutional arrangements for transparency. So we invite here basically all other partners that have interest in this support, in this kind of support and this kind of thematics. If they would like to collaborate with us, to please reach out. We would be happy to collaborate so that we can synergize efforts and provide as much support as possible to countries. So basically, here just an overview of our activities so far. So we have done we have started, as I mentioned, with the provision of support, and we have done quite a lot of activities until now. So I will just start with a few of them. So as Ron was mentioning, we have a good collaboration with our colleagues from ICAT. So we have developed an e-learning course that has been rolling out for the last 2-3 years, basically. So we have started with transparency practitioners in Asia and the Pacific in 2022, and then for Anglophone Africa, I think it's missing here from the slide. And then after the finalization of the e-learning part, we have done an in-person workshop in Bonn in August 2022. Now we have the cohort of the Francophone Africa that has started early this year, and we will have also the in-person workshop for them in August also this year. We have also started with support to the various networks, and we have organized also with our colleagues from TACFA and UNDP, the Lusophone cluster, the cross-regional workshop, basically for the Lusophone cluster and Spanish-speaking Latin America in Lisbon last year in October, and also with our colleagues from TACFA and UNDP, the Francophone network training in December 22, and the Lusophone cluster training in March 2023, and the Francophone also in 2023. So the Francophone network is getting and Lusophone a lot of support because of this collaboration with UNDP and FATFA. So there is more opportunities to have more activities there, and we hope to have more partnerships with other partners so that the same level of support can be also given to other networks. And then the Anglophone Africa network, we have done a workshop on NDC tracking in May 2023, so just basically last month. Then we have done many kickoff events, Inception workshops for all the networks, basically. And we have a lot of workshops that are coming. Now we will, in July, we have the workshop for Eurasia and Central Asia and the Caucasus, also on NDC tracking. So just to mention that the main topic this year basically is a deep dive into NDC tracking with hands-on exercises and practical cases where countries can work with their own data and get started with the NDC tracking. So we will have also an in-person workshop for the Pacific, and then for Asia and the Spanish-speaking flag and the Caribbean, Anglophone Caribbean, and also the Francophone and the Lusophone later this year. And those are also in collaboration with FATFA and UNDP. And we are also planning to have the global meeting also this year. So it's quite a lot of activities, but as it is the start, we are hoping to be able to cover all of the regions this year. As we know that, as I mentioned before, it's really the crunch time now for support for starting the BTR. And we have also done quite a lot of webinars because this is especially focusing on exchange of experience among countries. This was one of the elements that countries are looking for. So to have this South-South exchange maybe, and to learn from each other. So this is a very important element that we are trying to implement. And we have done quite a lot of webinars in this case. And also the platform will be very helpful in that regard because there we will have all information and exchange there and forums for discussion that would allow the creation of these communities of practice. Then the main one of the main also mediums of support and is to be really close to countries and provide in-country support. So as I mentioned, we are able to provide a lot of support to countries, but in pointed areas. So the project is not aiming to substitute the CBIT, the national CBIT projects or American activities, but to as an add-on to fill the gaps that might not have been included in the projects of the national CBIT or American activities. So we have already started providing quite a lot of support to countries, and we have initiated many more activities. Then the other element that I mentioned earlier is the equality review of transparency projects. So for that, we have already done 23 reviews. So we review the NCs, BURs, and inventories of countries before they submit to UNFCCC. And also we are hoping to start getting some BTRs, probably not this year, but next year, so that we can have also reviews on those. So basically how countries can access this report is either through the JEP implementing agency that can then contact us directly, or they can contact us directly, just either through emailing us or through filling a support request form. So we have a support request form that's available in the website, and they can just use that and reach out to us both for this activity or any other report that they may need. We have also been quite active in participating to numerous events both in COPs and the partner events to showcase the project and show the opportunities for support that it offers. And we have developed quite a lot of very constructive collaborations. I mean, notably with the UNDP Climate Promise, with whom we are working very closely, especially for the two networks, with UNFCCC, of course, and with the FATFA that we are doing most of the regional workshops, the network workshops with them. With our colleagues from the FAO that have been very good contributors and always ready to help with maybe presenting also the NDC tracking tool that they have recently developed. We are also, I'm not forgetting IPAD, with whom we have a lot of collaboration as well, especially also on the e-learning course that I have mentioned before, with the RECAT at the regional level, with IGES, with whom we are now starting a mutual learning program that we are doing together this year. So quite a lot of partnerships, and we hope that we get much more partners in the coming months and years, because the needs for support are very significant, and it needs all actors to work together to achieve the objective of helping countries transition towards the PTRs. Last but not least, so please meet the team. So we are 3 of us in Copenhagen working on the project, not full time, unfortunately, all of us, but we will have hopefully more resources so that we are able to do more activities. So I would like to present my colleague, Suman Paran, who is here. who is a very big help for the project, and my colleague Alejandro, who is online. You will have the opportunity to see him when he will be presenting the platform. And we have currently 7 network coordinators in place, and we are recruiting for 3 networks. So please stay tuned in this space if you know someone who might be interested in being network coordinators in any of these networks that we are still missing some people. Please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. With that, thank you very much, and yeah, I will stop here. Yeah, and now I would like to give the floor to Claudia Ortiz, who I mentioned is one of our main partners. So Claudia, you have the floor.
Thank you. Can I stand or should I just sit down? Okay. I don't want to touch that laptop. Want to make sure. So can you hear me? Yes. Well, thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me to this event and to provide some remarks on the collaboration that we've had so far. I think Fatima already mentioned quite a few things, but I would like to elaborate a little bit more. As a matter of introduction, I'm Claudia Ortiz. I work in UNDP Climate Strategies team based in headquarters in New York, and I oversee, amongst other things, the global portfolio of job enabling activities and CBIT, as well as other contributions under the Climate Promise. And maybe before I start, I would like to just mention Tiago and Musa that were just mentioned in the presentation. Francophone and Lusophone cluster coordinators are here, as well as Richmond, who is the UNDP Climate Transparency Advisor. So first, I think maybe just taking one step back, UNDP and UNEP, we have collaborated for decades, I think, on the delivery of national communications, on national adaptation plans, on green climate fund readiness, essentially enabling the environment and the policy environment for the countries that we support on climate and climate-related issues. So I myself have had the privilege to work very closely with UNEP colleagues in Paris, in Nairobi, on all of these initiatives, and I have to say, for the most part, it always results in maximizing the impact, really, and the outreach that we can have with the countries that we support. So just to say that first. The first global support program, actually, as Fatima mentioned, was jointly implemented by UNEP and UNDP. This was the first stepping stone, really, to provide a much needed technical support on different areas of transparency through the geographic or linguistic clusters or networks that were formed at the time. And we're now continuing this collaboration with the phase 2 by bringing together really human and financial resources, because obviously if we were trying to do it alone and separately, we wouldn't be able to maximize the impact. So as I mentioned, basically, to be very specifically, in our case, the cluster coordinators for Lusophone and Francophone are embedded in the GSP, but they're also embedded in the Climate Promise Initiative. I think given the political urgency of the matter at hand, what we've seen is that we get similar requests coming from the countries. And it got Fatima and I to think there is no point in duplicating the efforts. What we should be doing is really trying to maximize efficiencies by bringing together the resources and putting our heads together, and also that allows us to think even more creatively on how to do things jointly. UNDP is, many of you not too familiar, we have country presence in pretty much every one of the countries we support, 120 countries, and that has helped a lot. In fact, since the GSP phase 2 started, we've been able to conduct many in-country trainings as well on different aspects of ETF as they have been requested through the Transparency Help Desk, as we have it in UNDP. And just to name a few, we've had in-country trainings recently in Niger, Mali, Cabo Verde, Senegal, Guinea, and Morocco. Another good practice that we have seen implemented is the deployment of technical assistance to an ongoing PUR, whether it's for national communication, or including the CBIT. And this is very important because sometimes the countries get access to the GEF resources, but there is still obviously a lot of institutional organization that needs to happen at the national level to make these grants work, but also the technical assistance and the technical capacities are not all. So we've been able to lead in the case of Cabo Verde as well. PBURs completion that were actually funded by the GEF under the Enabling Activities portfolio. So I think that merging essentially and that complementarity of how to be able to support national GEF projects with technical assistance is key. We've seen it works well, and that's one of the best practices we hope to continue in the future with this project. Yeah, and I was going to mention the recent workshops that we've had, but I think you had a very beautiful slide on that. But just mention that it has proven to be also critical to have PAPA involved as well as a sort of glue in between the different partners, development partners, the UN partners. And I think I've been actually part of some of these workshops, and just to say one of the things that we realized works really well and countries have mentioned and expressed that this has been an improvement from before is having the dedicated language training. It sounds like it's something trivial, but when you're able to say this is fully Francophone workshop, fully Lusophone workshop, it has actually resulted in maximum gains, I think. In fact, one of the trainings was inter-cluster with the Latin America group. That was probably a little bit more challenging logistically, but it was also very beneficial because some of the countries obviously have similar challenges in implementing the enhanced transparency framework. So with that, I think a lot of it was already mentioned here. Thank you very much and get very success, and look forward to also knowing a little bit about the platform and hopefully continue in the community of practice. That is really what we want to build with this collaboration. So thank you.
Have been our workout today with this. Yeah, thank you very much, Claudia, for this work, and we really look forward to continuous constructive collaboration with you and the team. So that's we are very happy to have here. So they have the chance to be here, but the other network coordinators, hopefully, they have the chance to meet all together in person in another occasion. So I would like now to ask Milagros Sandoval to also give us some words, because we have been working quite closely with Peru, with the Global Support Program through the Spanish-speaking Latin American Network.
Good afternoon. My name is Milagros Sandoval, and I'm the General Director for Climate Change and the Certification of the Ministry of Environment of Peru. And many times, I don't know, many of you that work in countries, when we try to explain the enhanced transparency framework and all the process that conveys all of what we have to do in a country, it's very difficult to explain. So definitely, one of the things that we have been, when I was walking also here, and thanks for having us here, definitely it's important to walk out of the venue and really in that walking, reflecting on the days or these days' works. One of the things that always pops into our minds related to transparency is definitely the link to information. And definitely, information is one of the biggest challenges that we have in developing countries. Having the correct information to report our work, not only at the international level through the reports we have to send to the Climate Change Convention, but also at the national level. Because this information is always asked by different stakeholders, civil society, that wants to know how are we really, if we are achieving the goal that we have committed under the UNFCCC. So I think that part of this process definitely implies not only having the best information, also how do you communicate that information both internationally and nationally, but also how you work on the necessary institutional arrangements that not only one ministry is in charge of everything, but that there's a linkage and work within all of the ministries that need to convey that information and that have that information, or that maybe they need to address gaps on information. So part of those processes, I think, are what we have been working during the support that has been given to us. I just wanted to mention that for us, the enhanced transparency framework is already reflected in the national framework of the climate change legislation in Peru. So it's part of a national commitment. So that's why also we need to really address how we inform that to all our citizens. Part of that process obviously has implied working in different levels of the government, not only sectorally, but also at national levels and local levels in order to have this information. And part of this process has been working with our third BUR, which we had the opportunity to go through the process that was mentioned before related to supporting the process, and Paulo Cornejo was the one leading this work, and definitely it was a great support because, as you mentioned, Fatima, the idea is that you review the documents, you review the 5 chapters of our BUR, so when it's being assessed by the UNFCCC, at least some of the, and we hope most of the comments will be addressed or will be reflected already in the document. So I think that is part, and actually that also implies not only having the information, but also building or strengthening the capacities at the national level. And with that, I also wanted to mention and link to the gender issue, and I always try to highlight that in Peru, our inventory is mainly in charge of 3 women. 3 women that are always there trying to move forward the process, explaining to me specifically what the sectors. I'm a lawyer by training. So you can imagine 3 women explaining to a lawyer, it's like, no, you have to explain it like if it was for your children, right? Why? Because obviously when we go out and we explain we have these inventories, how do you explain to the citizens how are you going to work? And that's actually also part of this platform that we have in Latin American countries, in which this is like a family for many of them. They already know each other, they make questions, they have already a lot of ties related to assessing or making questions and comments, because many of us have gone through those processes already or are going through processes, and that can give us lessons learned of what we can address during this process. So definitely, I think that this part of highlighting this work together, especially in the region, maybe in one moment we can address with different regions, right? Because the challenges are similar in many cases. The issues are maybe in other language, but challenges are similar. We need better information. We need to strengthen capacities. We need the necessary institutional arrangements for all of these processes. And thanks to initiatives like this, we're trying to move forward and make better decisions, and that this information also help us take better decisions. So thank you very much. So the musical thanks. So thank you very much, Milagros, and also thank you for mentioning this family experience. Basically, that's what we are trying to do in all networks. And when we are demonstrating the platform, you will see that Paulo has already created a forum actually for the Red intake. So welcoming all the practitioners there. So we do hope that the Red intake will find a home there, and also all the other thematic areas of transparency, not only, of course, in Latin America, but in all other networks. So thank you very much for this. And now I think we can have some questions or some feedback if you have.
before going to the pièce de résistance, which is the platform. I guess everyone is eager just to see the, no, I see Idris, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we come here for the other ones. We'll hold it.
Thank you very much, Fatma, and all colleagues who have presented. I just wanted to break the ice and that's why I come in, and more importantly, on the program in collaboration with the ICAT and the UNF's insisting, as well as the recent tracking progress, which happened in Pretoria. Most of us here were part of it, and it's really helpful. And we could really encourage you and other support providers to continue that collaboration and deepen those works which are happening so that they trickle down to the actual countries so that we effectively set up our systems and implement that. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Idris, for these words. It's a very good point that you raise. We will try to see how to group the data by NDCs and SIDS and see how it could look like. I'm not thinking that and the Francophone networks are quite well covered with the collaboration with the UNDP. But for other networks, they would benefit from further partnerships. And I invite here other partners to join us. Of course, you have the colleagues from SAFA, but we would be happy to have more partners so that we have more resources to better service the countries that have a better impact. Any further comments or questions? Unfortunately, I'm not able to see the chat, whether there is something from online. Alejandro, can you help me with that?
We don't have any questions so far.
Okay, good. Then we reached the end of this section. And as I mentioned, the main star of today, the platform. So I would like to invite my colleague Alejandro Rogatero, who is on holidays in Sevilla. So he's getting ready to attend the wedding. Hopefully, I mean, luckily it's not his own wedding. So thank you, Alejandro, for taking the time during your holidays to present the platform. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Fatima, and thank you everyone for attending today. Indeed, I would love to be there with you today, but nevertheless, greetings from Sevilla. It is not my own wedding, and I'm here just enjoying some holidays. I will just go ahead and share my screen. In this session, I want to do a short presentation first of some context of the climate transparency platform. I want to show a bit of what are the main requirements, what are the main objectives and features of the platform, and give you a bit of a view of what happened on the other side, all the work that we put in behind the scenes, leading to this launch of the beta version today. So as we have explained previously, the climate transparency platform stems as the need to join two previous websites, which are the CBIT Global Coordination Platform and the Global Support Program. These two websites, apart from them, there's a need to implement some main requirements of the climate transparency platform. These main requirements were included in the CEO endorsement document throughout the project preparation stage, and include some transparency project information of upcoming and present national, regional, and global projects. Transparency country information through different country profiles with information on NCs and BURs, the progress, some self-assessed needs, and CBIT projects. Third, the need to compile a library of different knowledge products, practices, methodologies, tools, including the Paris Rulebook and the CGE. Also the need to provide a space for an interactive user forum as a place for information exchange and providing online tools for peer learning, coordination for regional MRV and transparency networks. I can hear one of our colleagues online, probably is unmuted. If you could mute yourself, that would be great, please. All right, I hope you can hear me better now. The last of the main requirements that have to be included in this integrated platform would be a space for requesting support from countries to request assistance with different reports and transparency issues, also to serve as a space for coordination between support providers. These main requirements that I have explained, as well as the need to merge the two websites, are what have given us the base to create a first description of this new platform and identify the main functionalities. Afterwards, this main TOR and platform description has been shown to different partners in Q2 and Q3 of 2022 last year throughout five stakeholder consultations that we held with internal and external transparency experts, country and project focal points, and international agencies and initiatives. These consultations had the objective of showing this initial platform description, discussing with different partners the functionalities that we were thinking of, and looking at experience and feedback from all the transparency community on what should and should not be included in this platform. And they were very useful to, for example, identify and define key functionalities. For example, the need to include a special space for calls for consultants and different opportunities. It was also necessary to identify challenges and areas to improve based on the experience in the previous platforms. For example, improving or making an easier way to input certain data, promote events, etc. It also was necessary to define some new features. For example, the request for support that I will showcase in a little bit. Clarifying different stakeholder roles, the forum for discussion between different users, and the regional transparency networks. It was also useful to identify information to show in the main pages and interactive maps. For example, the transparency overview map, which I will show you later, and has an overview of all transparency projects from different support providers that want to be in the platform and want to include their project pipeline in the platform. And lastly, to agree on national transparency information that is relevant to feature in country pages. So essentially, what is the main information that must be added in each country profile to have an at-a-glance view of their status and their journey towards adhering to the ETF. Based on the TOR that we developed and the feedback that we gathered from the 5 stakeholder consultations, we ended up starting the development of the platform, leading to the features that we have today that we're going to show you. I am summarizing them here also so you can see how these ones are also building on the main requirements and objectives that we had through the project development stage. We have a global overview on transparency through this series of at-a-glance information and dynamic maps, as well as a project database of all transparency projects. We have a space to stay up to date on development, news, knowledge products, events, even opportunities and calls for consultants. There's a space for detailed transparency information with country and project profiles that have relevant project information, status on submission of official reports, and agency pages where different support providers and initiatives can add their own information on how to access support, as well as including their project pipeline. There's also a space for peer-to-peer exchange and learning through dedicated forums and spaces within transparency networks, and a global forum for all registered users, which is supposed to be a dynamic hub for different thematic discussions, knowledge sharing, information exchange, important notices, etc. Lastly, there is a space for coordination among support providers through different country profiles with and project pipelines, and different planning tools for support providers so that they can coordinate among each other on upcoming trainings, events, knowledge products, etc. All of these features, we believe, is what will make the climate transparency platform a one-stop shop for transparency, which is not owned by anyone but by all the climate transparency community. The slide that we have here is just a snapshot of the platform development process. As you can see, during Q2, quarter 3 of 2022 is when we were developing the TOR and doing all the stakeholder consultations to come up with a specific plan for the development. The development officially started in November 2022 with the hiring of the software developers and starting the design. After the design of the page was finalized in February, we started developing the platform and reviewing all the content, making changes to the development, adding new functionalities, etc. Last month, already in May, we started the testing phase with key reusers. And throughout this month, we have been finalizing the review, addition of new functionalities, addition of new content based on the feedback that we received. The objective was by today, 9th of June of 2023, to have the launch of the platform beta version during these sessions in Bonn. What happens next now in the next months? This is the launch of a beta version, and now there are a couple of next steps that are going to be happening throughout the summer and throughout the coming months. One of them is a big important step is the security assessment by UNOPS. Now that we have opened the beta version, it's accessible by everyone, and UNOPS has to do some security testing to make sure that the platform has no vulnerabilities, that has no bugs, etc. So this will be happening in the coming months, as well as finalizing the implementation and incorporation of the results of the testing phase, receiving new feedback from all the early adopters. All of you, when you get into the platform, if you see any problem or if you have any questions, you are always welcome to give us feedback. We're happy to hear, and we will be updating content almost daily up until the end of August, where we will have the finalized platform. One last thing before we go to showcasing the actual platform is to mention that, as I said before, this platform is built by the global transparency community. It is a large platform with several stakeholders that are involved in the uploading, updating, and moderation of content. And therefore, shared responsibility is the key to maintaining the platform updated and maintain users engaged. Here you can see an overview of all the different stakeholders that are going to be editing and updating content in the platform, from project managers, nominated country focal points, transparency agencies and initiatives, network coordinators,
I lost
and
you.
the CBIT-GSP
I
admin
lost you. I
team.
think it dropped off.
Sorry? I think we have some. All right. These are the main users that are going to be editing the platform, but overall and overarching all of these users is ultimately the wider transparency community. It has an integral role in improving and keeping the platform up to date. As you know, many of the actors involved in this platform are going to be accessible through the platform, through our emails, and it is up to all the experts, academia, consultants, etc., within the transparency community to come to us, to look at the website, to engage in the conversations through the forum, to let us know if there's any information that should be displayed in the platform. All of this is welcome, and it will only build a better platform that can be used by all of us. This is what the platform homepage looks now, and this is the URL, climate-transparency-platform.org. And it's open now to all of you to start logging in, looking at the different pages, creating your own profiles if you don't have one. And like I said before, our mails are always accessible. We are happy to receive your feedback. If you have any question or any problem accessing the platform, please let us know. We will be happy to help you. Now, finally, I'm going to go to the platform itself, and I'm going to show you some of the main functionalities. So you can see now, this is the main page. This is where you can see first the at a glance information of transparency. Here you have some areas like the Knowledge Center, different links to the events and publications, etc. Going down in this homepage, you have the main hub for transparency information, different interactive maps that we have created, all of them with different kinds of information that you can access and that hopefully are going to give a very good snapshot of the status of global transparency. The rest of the homepage has some featured news and events that you can access whenever you want to feature one upcoming event or upcoming knowledge product. It can be shared here. And I'm going to go through some of these maps so you can see the different information that we have. The first interactive map that we have is a transparency overview, and it has just a recollection of all the registered transparency projects that we have in the platform. So all different agencies and initiatives and support providers are welcome to register in the platform and upload their project pipeline so that it can be shown here. As you can see, we already have a collection of several agencies that have their project pipeline here. And it can be not only for CBIT projects as it was before, but also for enabling activities and for other transparency projects. The second map is possibly what is closest to the old CBIT Global Coordination Platform, and it's an overview of all the CBIT projects right now that are active and concluded. You can see here that are filtered by status and filtered by agencies that are implementing. The next map is the enabling activity map, and it also has a recollection of all the active enabling activity projects that you can filter between national communications or BURs or combined NCBUR or BTR. This is so that you can click on every country and see how many open enabling activities they have and they are working on. For example, here in India, if you look at the country profile, you will see there is several projects and several enabling activities that are registered and can be seen in the map. And this is what one of these enabling activity projects would look like. Here we have some at-a-glance information that you can also find in the GEF website, and information on the implementing agency. Once the support has been provided and the report is done, it will appear in the country profile of India. The next map that we wanted to show you is the networks map, where all the different regional transparency networks that Fatima has showcased before are appearing here, divided by color, so that you can see each country profile or each network profile. It has different information of the countries that are part of the network, of the in-country activities, the nominated focal points, network-specific events and news, etc. And the last interactive map is an at-a-glance view of what is the status of submissions to UNFCCC. Here you can look around the map worldwide, and you can filter by national communications, BURs, BTRs, and adaptation communications to see what is the status of NCs and BURs, etc. globally. So this would be the main information that you can access through the homepage, and that we hope that it will be useful for you and an entry point for you from the homepage to different country profiles or project profiles. As you can see, for example, if we went to Peru over here in this map, we can see the different active transparency projects that are happening in Peru, and a view of the country profile. If we click on the Peru country profile, we can see first some important at-a-glance information on what is the status of the reports. We can see some NCs and BURs are being developed right now, and we can see the BTR in development right now. Once the BTR is submitted, it will appear as one BTR here, but right now, while it's still under development, it appears as a no submitted report yet. The country profile essentially has country transparency information and a pipeline of projects that are happening in the country. The country transparency information has some information on the ratification dates, on submitted GHG inventories, submitted BURs, NCs, NDCs, and NAPs. It also has more information that will be updated as time passes. Whenever there is new submissions and new information to highlight in the country page, it will be updated by several actors. As I mentioned before, is a shared responsibility issue, and it will be the ownership of all of us in different roles to keep all of these pages updated. Another thing that I didn't mention before is that, as you know, this is the beta launch, and there is a lot of work to be done. Just to give you an example, we have had to input manually over 500 GEF enabling activities just to make these interactive maps work. So as the next weeks happen, there will be a lot more content that is going to be added. There will be some patches of design and content just to make the experience more smooth to all the users and easier to understand, easier to input data and access data, etc. So we hope that it will be a good experience for all of you. And like I said, if you have any issues or any questions about the platform, you are welcome to ask us. Here you can see a series of the project pipeline that we have in the Peru profile. If we go, for example, to the CBIT project for Peru, we can see how a CBIT project would look like. It's similar to the previous CBIT Global Coordination Platform, but it has been streamlined to show some of the key information. Here, information on the geographical scope, the project grant, the concept and project approval, as well as the project start and end dates. It has some project details here. By the way, this is how it would look if all the tabs are closed. We have project details, indicators, a status of project implementation, and a collection of project-specific documents like TORs, calls for consultants, specific deliverables, etc. If we go to project details, we can see here the project website and information on which are the implementing agencies and executive agencies. One of the changes that will come in the next week is that we will also add some information of the project focal point so that users know who to access in case of wanting to know more about a specific project. Another of the pages that we would like to show you is the agency pages. This is a new functionality that it was mentioned as one of the new requirements through the requirements in the project development and through feedback that we received in the stakeholder consultations. These pages have an overview of all the transparency agencies that would like to be included in the climate transparency platform. Of course, this is open for support providers that want to be highlighted here. And it's a dedicated space for all of these agencies to put a bit of information about each agency and how they can access support, who to contact, which countries are eligible, and how much give a bit more information about how each of these agencies work. Another thing that the agencies can do is upload their project pipeline into the platform so that it can appear in the agency page and in the interactive maps, in the project pages, etc. For example, if we go here to see the ICAT agency page, we can see that it has some information about the climate action transparency and the how to access support. Here is some key information on how to access support, which countries are eligible, who to contact in case of wanting to access support, etc., as well as a series of projects that the agencies can link to the profile. If we go now to CBIT-GSP, we can see as well, if you are more working closely with the CBIT-GSP project, you can take a look at these pages here, which give you some more information about the CBIT-GSP project. Apart from just general information, we have a collection of activities that we are undertaking as a project, and this page is where all our different activities are recorded so that users can access it in a single space. You can see here that we have different events, in-country activities, reviews, knowledge products, and news. Apart from that, we have a results page where users can take a look at different indicators and results like people trained, satisfaction rate, workshop held, outreach events, support activities, etc. This can give you some at-a-glance information of the impact of the project as a whole and what is the status and progress of the support of the CBIT-GSP project. Another thing that would like to highlight now is the request for support. The request for support is also one of the main components that were included in this new platform, and it's a space where projects can access specific templates in different languages that will help you to access and request support to cover specific needs for transparency in all areas of the enhanced transparency framework. These templates are tailored to country needs and are flexible so that you can give us the information that you need where you need support the most. Afterwards, these requests for support are shared with wider transparency community and are shared with the main support providers so that hopefully countries can get a timely and fast response on who and how can give support for your specific needs. Here, for example, if we click on the English template, we would get this Word document with all the information that has to be inputted to request support. Different information, title, objectives, time frame, etc. Information on the proposed activities, estimated budget, and other relevant information. If we go now to the next page, which would be the networks are also one of the new main requirements and features of the platform. And the networks are a space where all the activities in the different countries in all the regional transparency networks are featured. Here you can see the map of all the different networks, as well as a view of the regional networks and coordinators. If we want, we can click on each of these individual networks. For example, if we went to Francophone network, what we would see is first a collection of all the countries that are participating, information on the network coordinator, the appointed focal points and experts, and the in-country activities. Apart from that, there will be a space to feature activities, calls for consultant, like in this case, events or news. And furthermore, there is a space for a forum dedicated to each network and different news and events. If we go to another network, for example, as Fatima mentioned, in the Latin American Caribbean network, there is a good example of the forum. And you can see how this kind of forum would look as a space for all different network members to discuss outs, support, or any other activities that the network is undergoing in the meantime. We can see here, for example, a view of the in-country activities that are happening in the LAC network. And we have here the most recent results for in-country activities. The last of the pages are quite resembling other transparency websites and platform worldwide. We can see the Knowledge Center, for example, with all different featured publications that you can filter by the type of publication, region, agencies that are uploading the publication, etc. We also have a space for different news and events that can be highlighted here, otherwise can be found in a full list of events here, filtered the same way. A collection of experts that is heritage of the Global Support Program website, where we can see different thematic experts that can be filtered by expertise and by country. And we also have a space for a global forum, is similar to the forum that I have shown you in the network pages. The global forum is a space for all global users that are registered in the Climate Transparency platform, and this will be a space where important notifications or different thematic discussions will be held among all the users. This has been my presentation from now on. I think I hope that this has been informative for all of you, and happy to have all of you right now and in the days and weeks to come coming into the platform and looking at all the new features, all the new pages, all the content, helping us to improve the content, to include more content. It's been a pleasure developing this with all of you, and looking forward to your feedback. Thank you.
Alejandro, before going to our next speaker, I just wanted you to please, if you can show us again the agency page. There is a feature that I would like to highlight as well. He cannot.
Here it is. It's also one of the features that I have forgotten to show you, but it's a very, very useful for all of you and all the support providers.
Yeah. So basically here, I just wanted to highlight, because this is, as I mentioned, one of with the MRV or the ETF group of friends, we are trying to coordinate our events and coordinate our knowledge products. But it's always kind of quite a challenging task. So here we are trying basically to see to put here a place where all agencies could put their events, even when they are in planning, so not confirmed yet. Just they are thinking to do something in the last semester of the year or something. They can already have it here. So it's basically kind of a planning tool that is available to all agencies that would like to use it, so that we can synergize our efforts, not duplicate, and also not organize similar events at the same time, so that we are not competing on our audiences. I also would like to highlight the knowledge product as well tab that you can see here, because as I mentioned, many times, many of us start developing a knowledge products, and then while we are at the next stages, there is a similar knowledge product that's published by another agency. So it's constitute duplication, and it's not very useful in this case. So we are hoping by having also this tab here that agencies can use it, so that we know what's the pipeline of publications. And then if you would like to collaborate, different agencies want to collaborate on one product, or at least not to duplicate if the collaboration is not possible. So I just wanted to highlight these two functions that I think hopefully we get that can be useful for us. And with that, thank you very much, Alejandro. I would like to thank actually, my colleagues, Alejandro and Suzanne, who has done tremendous work on the platform, without forgetting also all the network coordinators that have been working very hard on updating the content. I would like to recognize also Jepal, who has done really tremendous work in putting all the enabling activities, so over 400 projects manually. So thank you very much also, Jepal. I would like also to thank PANAPS, who are our service providers. So they have been working day and night recently to be able to have the platform online and fix all the bugs that happened after the migration. And so thank you very much also for that. And our colleague Juan from UNAP that also have been working very hard recently. And I do not forget all our partner agencies that have provided a lot of inputs and have started also populating the platform. So this platform will not be alive without your involvement, and also the involvement of all the countries and focal points. So basically, we are providing the platform, but please consider it as yours, basically, so to use and to make it useful and to make it alive. So we do count on your continuous collaboration for it to be a success and to be really useful and be a hub for the transparency community. So thank you very much for your collaboration on this. And with that, I would like to invite our two speakers for this session. Karen from iTunes, I think you can come here, right? Or you are able to? Yeah. And then Mila, no, sorry, Jenny, she's still here. And then Jenny afterwards. If you would like to stay there or come here as you wish. Yeah, please. Like, yeah. You guys can find us on the other piece. Thank you. Basically, sorry because because I had to run back to the negotiation. So, I was invited to telling you our experience from Chile related to the platform and all the activities that we have related to transparency as well. We have been working on transparency for a long time now. We have displayed our big VOR last year. So I have to say that we are one of the actively users of all the transparency initiative. So it's really good to see that there is a platform that compile all this activity. I have a comment also related to what you said, Fatima, about the agency part. It could be helpful for countries, this is a perspective for my country, to have also like a benchmark of agency. So, you know, if we talk about CBIT or BTRs, having a perspective of the time that agency is taking to implement this kind of projects, to have also how many projects are involved with each agency, it could be very helpful for countries in order to choose which agency fit better for them. I think it's a good opportunity to put it in this platform. Well, now we are working, and we had a very good approach with this platform because we were working with Paulo, trying to design a roadmap for the BTR. As I mentioned before, we submitted our fifth BUR last year, and in this BUR, we tried to put many elements that are related with the new requirement for BTR. So we did this kind of hybrid report with elements of the BUR and some element of the BTR. Why are you, maybe you ask why you are doing this is so many work? Well, the reason why is because we think that 2024 is too late to start to report NDCs. Unfortunately, we're almost in the half of the period of the implementation next year, and 2024 is too late to start to have a picture of what we are doing related to implementation. So that's why we did this effort, even though we have to improve a lot. So for now, for the BTR, we hope to submit the first BTR next year on time, for sure. We are designing this roadmap. We had this amazing help from the platform to do that. In some of the stages, we already had it because we did this exercise in the fifth BUR. So we already know who the stakeholders are, who are the processes that are involved related to collect data and stuff. But it was helpful to understand who others should be involved in the new process, because there's a new format. We have to fill new tables, new common tables. And all that should be in a future, should be put in a systematic platform in order to have like more systematic information and relation with stakeholders. So in that sense, I want to thank, of course, the work that we have with the group in Latin America, especially with Paulo. And we hope in the next year you could have in your hands the first BTR of Chile and maybe of Latin America. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. So I guess the competition is often in Latin America. We submit first. So thank you for that feedback. We will see how we can implement actually your suggestion about the benchmark on the agencies. It might not be very easy, but we will see how it can be done. So thank you very much for that. Competition for agencies. Exactly. Yes, indeed. Yeah. And now I would like to welcome Karen, our colleague from ALCAT, to give us her feedback on the platform. Sorry, I have to start.
Hello, everybody. It's lovely to be here. Thank you so much, Fatima Zara, for inviting us. I think I have to start off by just saying absolute, sincere, and heartfelt congratulations, really, to you and the team, to Jeff, to CBIT, to GSP, to everybody who's been involved. It really is such an extraordinary platform. I think it's certainly something that we've been waiting for a very long time. And I can just see that it's going to have massive impact on the collective work that we're doing. So again, congratulations, it's fantastic. So I'm with ICAT. I'm sure you all know what ICAT does, but just in case you don't, we work with implementing partners like UNEP Copenhagen Climate Centre to empower countries to enhance or to build their MRV frameworks. Now, part of that is that we want to provide opportunities for peer-to-peer exchange and for and so this is the absolute best place to do that. So again, very excited to see it coming.
you know, if you think about what countries really need, it's a place to go and look for help, look for information, exchange information. And again, fantastic place to do that. Fatima Zara asked me, she said, please can you also address what we need to improve in the future? And I don't know if it's improvement really, it's more things just to be aware of, I think. I'm a communications professional. So for me, you know, if you're looking at the success of a platform, there's two users that are vital. The one is the contributors, the people who are going to put the information on there. So that's pretty much all of us. And the other one is the users, because people are going to go looking for the information. And again, that's all of us. So I'd like to maybe just address each of those together. So first, from a contributor's perspective, and in the ICAT spirit of learning from others, I'd like to give you an example that I've come across in my own experience, and that is with Earth Hour. You probably know of Earth Hour. It's this time once a year when everyone turns the lights off for an hour to combat climate change, right? So it's owned by WWF. And a few years ago, I was chatting with a colleague from WWF, and she was involved in creating the concept for this platform. For the campaign, I beg your pardon. And, you know, she was telling me that really what WWF were aiming for was that their millions of followers would amplify the campaign. But more than that, they wanted big organizations, IKEA's, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, whoever, to amplify it to their followers as well. And in that way, it would become a truly global campaign. And after the first 2 years, they were seeing that that wasn't happening. Big companies weren't picking this up. And so they did some research. They went and asked the companies, why are you not doing that? And the feedback was, we don't feel like it's our platform. We don't feel like it's our campaign. It's a WWF campaign. It's got the panda on it, you know, a great thing to promote, but it's not ours. And we don't feel ownership of it. And so I think this is something we need to be aware of. The platform is, as you see, it's the CBIT Climate Transparency Platform, and absolutely CBIT owns it and must be very proud of it. But if we are finding that other agencies are not taking part in it, that could be something that we need to look at just to get that buy-in. Then let's deal with the users. Now, again, learning from experience, I don't have an example in my own experience, but so I thought what I'd do is I'd Google it, see what that came up with. So there were a couple of things, you know, if you're looking for how to attract users, and there are 3 points that I'd like to really highlight. The first one is, and I absolutely love this phrase, it's not mine, comes from Google, know your tribe, right? So you have to really know who's going to use that platform. And I think we can tick that box because it's all of you. I mean, it's everybody in this room and all our colleagues and everybody else who works in climate. So we certainly know our tribe. The second point is we have to keep our content and our discussions relevant and easy for people to access. Now, I don't know about all of you, but I know that at ICAT, we have reports on our website. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. And some of them are 300 pages long. Now, nobody in their right mind is looking for information is going to go and read a 300-page long document. So I think our big challenge collectively is to make these things into sort of digestible, bite-sized pieces of information, and that's really going to be a challenge. And then the third one is to promote your content. So again, please, I ask all of you. Certainly, ICAP will be doing that. Let's talk about this platform. Let's talk about how we're using it to all our followers. Let's really get that message out there. So I'm not going to keep you because I know that lunch is just around the corner. But again, thank you so much, Fatima Zara, and really congratulations to you and Alejandro and Suzanne and the whole team. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Karen, for this kind words and also for your feedback. As you know, we have changed the name of the platform. It's not CBIT Transparency Platform now, it's a climate transparency platform. So it does not have the CBIT-GSP name in it. So hopefully with that, everyone would feel the the ownership. I mean, obviously, we do have to have the logos there because, but I do hope that everyone feels the ownership of the platform and consider it theirs to promote their own information and also to reach their users and the countries that they support, and also to create this transparency community, this family, as Idris was mentioning before. So yeah, so it's yours. Please do make use of it. And I would like now to open the floor if you have any feedback or any suggestions. Also online, if you would like to take the floor as well. Yes, Katia.
I speak from here. Okay, thank you very much, Fatima Zara, for that, and also just to congratulate the Center for such a very useful. Yeah, thank you very much for this, and also to just congratulate the center and all the partners behind the platform. For me, as I'm just listening and looking in terms of how this platform is really working, I see already that it's ticking many of the boxes in terms of the needs that have been expressed, I think, by different countries, but also within, if you look at some of the submissions under the transparency in the negotiations, that I think there's been this call on having such a platform. So I think that it's quite a very robust platform, because it's creating that kind of a center where we all come together to get information, but also to share experiences. I'm just wondering, in terms of, since this is under a project, the sustainability beyond the project, and also how countries can, I think at the end, like as it's been said, that most of the reports, you know, with where you articulate some of the challenges and problems, maybe getting it down in terms of how do we draw that and just amplify it in a way that is easy to access and also to read in terms of the key lessons learned from the bigger reports that countries are actually producing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katsiwe, for that feedback. Yes, indeed, thank you for pointing out the submission by parties. So we have ourselves actually made also a submission on to the SEs on that. And when I was going through the submissions, I noticed that many submissions were mentioning an online platform. They were mentioning an exchange of experience. So there was a lot of these elements that we are offering now in the platform, but also through the projects. Of course, that's it's not only us providing that opportunities. There are other partners, but I was happy to see that at least for some of the elements they are covered by both the platform and the project. With regard to the sustainability, yes, that is one of the issues that we are actually thinking of. And that's also why we decided, among other things, like we had the ownership issue, but also the sustainability, like, so not to link the name of the platform to a project that might be ended. I mean, of course, we are hoping to have another phase of the project. Patricia is hearing me here. But so we are thinking about the sustainability so that it is not linked only to a project, but we can have other donors. I know that ICAT has finally offered to participate in the platform, and we are grateful to that. So it's basically to have it, linked from projects and ensure that sustainability and continuation beyond projects. And good points also on the lessons learned. So that's something that we are trying to produce from the experiences from both CBIT, national CBIT projects and Indian activities. So it's still work in progress, but we are hoping to be able to produce some of the lessons learned. And that is also something that will be hopefully discussed in the global meeting as well. Any further feedback or question? I think everyone is eager to get back to the negotiations or tonight. So I would like to really very much thank you for taking the time to stay with us. Yeah, so the platform is yours, and also the project is yours. Please do not hesitate to get in touch with us and let us know your feedback and suggestions. As the next steps, we are planning to organize regional network meetings to introduce the platform to the different users, also in the languages of the networks, of course, and to present the functionalities so that all networks and all users can start interacting with the platform. So that will happen towards end of June, beginning of July. So stay tuned to receive some invitations to participate to these events. And as Alejandro has mentioned, so we are still fixing some bugs, adding contents, but we also depend on you to add contents from your own agencies and from the countries so that it's populated and it's useful for all. So yeah, thank you very much. And